All right, it's Ryan J. Downey with Disc Dives here with the homies from Twiztid. We're about to get in the time machine and take it back to the late 1990s. Yeah, we should add some effects.
I can't do that. I'm holding the phone. But yes, that's awesome.
What up, everybody? We're getting ready to take you on a journey of everything that has been twisted for the last 25 years that maybe you don't know about or you're just learning about now. We're going to try to give you some kind of insight into what it was like to get from there to here with the help of our good friend Ryan. Ryan, is that short for Brian or is it just Ryan?
It's just Ryan.
Okay, then just Ryan, who is the best at this, is going to drag it out of us the only way that he knows how to, man.
I'm going to drag it out.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
We're getting the DeLorean. We're going to hit 88 miles per hour, and we're going to party. We're going to go all the way back to the first full-length album in 1998. Now, what can you tell me about the creation of that record? Who you guys were back then as humans, compared to now, and sort of a little bit of the evolution from the prior stuff that each of you had done into all of a sudden you're doing a record as Twiztid.
I don't want to beat Paul to the punchline, but I do want to say one thing that noteworthy, that Most Tasteless has like 3 different incarnations of it, or 3 different versions of it, I guess. Like its first offering was the more raw, straight to cassette form, and then later on we went back in the studio and put out extra additional songs, which became the reissue, and the lines get blurred between which is which and which pressing and whatever. So we were young and excited and wanted to be heard, man. You know what I mean? And that was the first.
City.
Yes.
1998. 2 kids from the street just made it good. They signed a deal.
He got it. Yeah, but he's got it.
But it was us transitioning from another group. We were in another group with another one of our friends. We had went out and we had done a tour with ICP, became friends with them, and we had to leave the tour because of management issues or whatever. That band decimated, was left to rubble. ICP comes home, asks us what we're doing. Jamie Madrox had this idea for a group for me and him and another one of our friends, and we played them 2 songs. And they fucking immediately were like, stop the presses. We got to have you guys on this record label. We signed a deal for $3,000, and the rest is history.
So real. So real. So real.
It was insane, man. It went from doing a deal with your homies and your friends, and next thing you know, we were signing a fucking $1 million deal with goddamn Def Jam and Island. It was a world, and it was real.
People don't realize when you're coming from, it's the 90s, and you're coming from a self-release cassette, when somebody says, we're going to give you $3,000, that sounds like $1 million back then.
It was.
You know what I mean? Like,
it might as well have been the 40s. You know what I mean?
Legitimately. For sure.
Yeah, envelope, that was the thickest envelope I had ever seen, except for when Grandma used to
it was all in
like
one.
$20.
It was all in one. All singles, baby.
It was dope. It was amazing, and we just set out on this journey, bro.
Yeah,
I think it was an opportunity for us to be able to actually do what we wanted to do for a living and actually see like that on the job training, see how that would evolve. And one thing about him and I is we pay attention to a lot of things. So we watched all the facets of how things work to try to make the next time around, which essentially would happen again and again until you're talking to us. You know what I mean? And every time around the bend, we get a little more smarter and wiser about how we do what we do. And we learn. We virtually learn. We've seen a lot of people in the same position go through it and not come away with anything other than the $3,000. We came away with $3 million worth of information on $3,000 in cash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So I think that's the really crazy part about how we get where we're at now. As we get into that,
we had signed for $3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you're like, we're on a
have.
record label, and that means
Absolutely.
something. You know.
It did. It's like I want to say that we represented that like nobody ever would have. You know what I mean? Like we felt honored to be a part of something, and I think the fact that we put that before us and trying to build that brand is kind of a testament to who we are as you know, people. But that it was a crazy time. It was a good time.
Absolutely.
It really was. We learned so much in them first 3 years. It was insane. And the one thing that we knew that we didn't want to do was stand on anybody's toes or ride any coattails. So that's why we learned as much as we could, so that the record label could take their hands off and ride that bicycle with no hands. You know, look at me, man, no hands.
Yeah.
And by our second record, sure as shit, that's exactly what we did. But the first record brought a lot of stuff, like Jamie, huge into comic books, huge into independent comic books. And then we had Chaos Comics fucking do the cover, dude. It was like, what?
It was
like,
crazy.
Dreams were becoming reality, bro. Stuff that we had never imagined in a million years was actually coming true. And
it's very true.
That kind of acceptance, that's why we had that "we'll die for you, motherfuckers" mentality from
absolutely.
The get-go.
Yeah,
that was it.
And Evil Ernie, I was gonna say Evil Ernie, Lady Death, and Purgatory from Chaos Comics were like the top shelf in independent comics at the time. We're probably neck and nipple with Spawn.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And man,
right.
You know. So it was a big deal to us. I mean, we were like kids in a candy store. It was like being able to actually have things become reality was, man.
Yeah,
still is.
Yeah, it was like Chaos, Image, Dark Horse. Like you had besides your big two, you had all those like
for sure.
Awesome.
And to find out
just the surface. Yeah.
Yeah. And them doing work with ICP kind of opened that up too. And it was just like, do you think they would do this? And they just came back with this big elaborate artwork. And it was like they had listened to the record and drawn their version of what it is. And that's cool too. Just, you know, like people's interpretation of our music is always fascinating to me, because a lot of times people come away with something different. And I love that. That's why it's supposed to be, you know, that's why it's Twiztid. It's good shit.
And as you guys mentioned, there's different versions of that record and the different covers out there. I know, obviously, we've talked about it before, but for people watching this, we're all big fans of the Halloween franchise, and I love that from that very first record, there's that little bit from Season of the Witch, the sleeper Halloween movie, the one without Michael Myers.
Right, true. B-side.
Which is getting its due now. You know what I mean? There was back then. It was like the redheaded stepchild, the black sheep of the franchise, and now people look back on it a lot more fondly and see it as a cool little weird oddity that it is.
We could watch those first 100 million times. Like, how many times can you recite the words of that movie? Let's give 3 another shot.
For real. But we could relate to 3. We knew what it was like. We could relate to 3. We knew what it was like to be part of something, but really the ugly duckling, the one the thing, you know. So there was some, you know. So yeah, it was good.
Twiztid, and plus, Twiztid, the Halloween 3 of the Juggalo franchise.
You know, the Halloween 3 of the horrorcore or underground wicked scene franchise. I would think. You know what I mean?
In some circles.
In some circles. Although we picture ourselves as Michael Myers and Jason, but truth be told, you know, those early years were building blocks, man. You know what I mean? It wasn't all cake. I'm promising you.
Right.
You know?
We embodied what made us us, and what made us us was horror movies, hobbies, and the hood. Those 3 things that's what made us. You know what I mean? We were 2 kids from the fucking jungle of Detroit, dude, just trying to fucking figure it out. That was it,
man.
Yeah, I had no inclination of where I would be at 20 or 25. Thought I'd be dead by 30. I'll tell you that, though. Like,
crazy.
Our story is immense.
And just because I know the fans are going to jump on this in the comments, do you think of that first record as 1997 or as 1998?
Shit.
Because
of that record
and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean,
I say 98 only because it's most people connect that with it.
Yeah,
but
that's what I think. That's why I said 98 originally, but then I was just thinking like
for sure.
Everybody
But
says 98.
Yeah.
But it has like a lot of very personal attributes to it. You know what I mean? Things like just like renditions of reality or stuff like that, you know, like I want to say classics, but you know what I mean? Just staples in that record, you know, that were very important. Shit like that. It's cool, man. That's one of my favorites. I mean, because it was our first. You always remember your first. You know, our first ice. The first time we got some diamonds, we were like, we got some ice. You know, you always remember your first shit.
Yeah, and you know, there's that old adage: you have your whole career to make your debut album and 6 months to make the follow up.
Right.
You put that all the identity, the blueprint, everything is there in the first one, setting the stage for what is going to be with all the subsequent following records. Which leads us nicely into Halloween Day release of the second Twiztid record, Freek Show. I feel like that cover, the album cover, in terms of the Twiztid catalog, is so iconic. Like, I mean, I know we were talking about the comic book illustration on the first one and everything, but to me, that second album with the split of the faces, that's just like, here it is. You know what I mean? Like, here's what the group is. It's right here on the cover, and I feel like that album has a very definitive kind of like laying down what the identity is of the group.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah, the perfect balance between good and evil. That's what we've always been. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you've really got to bring that home on Freek Show. Exactly. With the cover, with the whole thing. Like, we are essentially one person that sees the world in two different ways.
Right.
It's true. I think another thing too is it's like what to us personally is that was the first time that we legitimately got to drive, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Like, up to that point, we had brought in ideas, and then, you know, Violent J sat down and kind of sat with us and helped us do the Mostasteless reissue vibe. So we had that, but this was the first time where it was me, Paul, and Fritz, and we just went at it. We had at it, and the sounds that we were coming up with and the vibes we were coming up with, I think that's why it's even unique to Mostasteless. I know it's supposed to be, but a lot of times there's that, it sounds like the other stuff. It really doesn't.
Yeah, no, it doesn't at all.
It's cutting a path to where we're trying to go. And you know, where we're at today, it's like, now in hindsight looking at it, it's like, wow, that's trippy. But at the time, it was us trying to express more of who we are. And you'll see it as we go, you know. Yeah, man.
It definitely feels now like a bridge. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. We just always had a conscious effort where one record will not be like the next.
Mm-hmm. No, for real. Absolutely.
Right to this day, very much so. And that record, yeah, exactly. No training wheels, no nothing. We left the compound. We went to another studio. So it was me and Madrox and Fritz locked into this fucking studio.
Right.
And when we got like 10 songs done, Psychopathic Records came up to listen to that record and change their outlook on everything.
Yeah.
We saw it. We watched them bring in their engineers and their producers and berate, like, how the fuck are they doing this in here? How are they doing that? This place is 500 fucking years old. How? And we knew right there. We knew.
That was another thing too, though. That's cool, is that we have history with that place. We did a lot of our growing as musicians, be it rappers, whatever you want to call entertainers. A lot of our growing came from that place, so it was pretty fresh to go back there the first time we got to do our very own shit, and we just did something so true to who we are, and we went back there to do the record. So I think that was pretty cool too. I mean, it's like just the idea and the concept that we were able to not to be micromanaged. You know what I mean? Like, you actually you're self-sufficient enough to not need someone constantly watching you or positioning you in success. You just know what to do. Like, we would always be that way. Come and like here's a side project album of all of our B-sides and stuff that we've had across the span of our career to this point, and made that Cryptic collection, and just, did ideas and things that kind of like, not necessarily maybe blew minds. at least put smiles on people's faces to know that these guys clearly want it. And that hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because you would think as artists that then start a label and a brand and everything, that would be the kind of artist that you would want to sign. Is people that are their own mini brand within the thing under, you know, then it's just, it all keeps sprouting from there.
Sure.
That low maintenance, the ability to just say, we don't have to worry about them. We don't have to give them a concept, a song title, album artwork. We don't have to do their tours. That's what it was. That's what we wanted to be. We saw what it took with everybody else. And we didn't want that. We didn't want that. We wanted to show them that we are truly grateful for this opportunity, and we're going to show you that we are grateful. And I think we did.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Use it as a launching pad versus as the crutch, you know. That's the difference.
No. And I think it's cool to have that kind of opportunity, because up to the point when we came into meeting Joe and Joey through ICP, that was something that they did for us. And it was like, it's kind of a way to be like, we know how hard it was for us to get heard and to have people, you know, be exposed to our music. And if you already have that leverage, and it's really, you know, it's a platform again. And it's like, we do that with our artists, and it's good to see that people are deserving of it and are like willing to, once given that opportunity, take the ball and run and dunk it. You know what I mean? And dunk it on their own. So you can sit back as a proud fan and be like, wow, you know what I mean? And that's a lot how me and him are, you know, we're like, you're self-sufficient. Yep. Okay, cool. We've already heard shit. That's great. You know, here, let's get it, you know?
How crazy was it to see already on the second record, the album chart so high on Billboard? I mean, that was, you know, to be almost the top 50, like right in there. I mean, to even be in the top 200, top 100.
Absolutely.
Right, you're talking about at a time when there was 10, 15,000 records released a fucking year.
Exactly. And nowadays you can be number one with like a 30,000 first week sometimes.
True.
Back then was still when you needed to sell like 1 million records to be number one.
No, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Just to see that what was bigger than that, man, honestly, was when we were touring and we would go out on stage and we looked into the crowd and to see how many people were painted up like us. We were like, oh, something's going on. And then we get off that stage, we go outside, we load that set into the truck, break it all down, bring the merchandise out, signing autographs, because kids are like, holy shit, those dudes were just done. Hey, man. And we're like, hey, we got to go do this laundry. We'll be back in like 2 hours and we'll knock this out. You know what I mean? It was insane, bro. We learned the game from the absolute ground up. We didn't come in, we came in as rappers, but now we know every facet. Like I said, we did laundry, we did stages, we did stage design, we've done it all. Set up lighting.
It's important though, because then if you know everybody's jobs, then you can critique, and it's not from a place of just sitting with your feet up. You know what it takes to strike that
exactly what
stage.
I was just thinking, and then you know exactly as you expand who to hire and to watch for.
You know the turnaround time on graphics. You know the deal in the studio. It's like it's knowing what you're doing, and I think that's, again, I told you, when we pay attention, and that's a lot, and a lot of it is through literally on the job training. Like, you're just doing this. How bad do you want this? A lot of our come up was kind of a test, always a how bad do you want this kind of a deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of that. And I think we proved that time and again. And I think we still have to this day. You know what I mean? Because it's all right. You know, it's all that's what it's about. That's what the fucking game's about. It's like, you know, it is what it is.
I would, before we move off of this record, I want to talk about the Doors cover, only because, and maybe it's a generational thing, but I bet you guys are the same. As much as I love that song and as much as the Doors are dope, I associate that song with the Lost Boys. Like, whenever I hear that song, I immediately think about that movie, and I think that's probably like our age and the era we grew up and everything.
Not for me.
No,
not for me. No, I never seen Lost Boys, shit like that. I really like the Doors, and that song summed me and his lives up at that point.
Yeah,
immensely.
Yeah.
immensely.
It was.
know-
I remember when we were going through it, and it came down to it. I swear it was that, or it was People Are Strange or Riders of the Storm, and
Nice.
it was back and forth between those two. But then, like, when he says that, and you listen to it, and he's like, he's right. So it's like when you're right, you're right, and it's
It
like
encompassed us so much
know?
at that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff I haven't seen.
real.
And that's a whole. I think we talked about this before.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Like I just seen Gremlins.
But it's cool though.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yes.
And it's cool that you both come
That's
from
awesome.
different perspectives, which is
Absolutely.
the whole thing about
Which
the
always
duality
has
and the dichotomy of who you both are.